Hello and welcome to Business Incorporated live on Channels Television, and in the first one for 2025. Here's what's coming up in the next 55 minutes. Nigeria's equities market beats current inflation rates with a 2024 gain of 37.65%. And as 2025 begins, we get an expectation for Nigeria's baking industry as consumers felt the pinch of high bread prices in 2024. Plus, gold shines in 2024, outperforming oil and other major commodities. And it's good to have you join us. I'm Ladi Williams. Let's get a check on the biggest movers there in the commodities market. We see gold prices. They ended 2024 with a record-breaking year on a positive note there with a 26% gain, giving that true picture of what a safe haven asset should look like. That's the 2024 performance for gold, 26% gain. We saw geopolitical uncertainties, monetary policy easing. That fueled the safe haven metal's strongest annual performance since 2010 as one of the best performing assets of 2024. The bullion gained more than 26% year to date, the biggest annual jump since 2010, and last scaled a record high of $2,790.15 per ounce. That was around October, after a series of record-breaking rallies throughout the year. But on the flip side, oil, that didn't do too well. Oil prices fell around 3% in 2024. If you look at oil there, the post-pandemic demand recovery, that stalled with China's economy struggling, and the U.S. and other non-OPEC producers, they pumped more crude into a well-supplied global market, and that's why Brent and WTI were seeing a negative 3% loss there in 2024. We'll see if we get a recovery for the oil market, because we know this is our biggest forex earner. That's for Nigeria. And to another big winner, there we see, despite closing the last trading day of 2024, that's the all-share index, it did close in the red. That was the final trading day of 2024. But yet to date, it's been a stellar performance there for Nigeria's equities market. That's the all-share index. It gained about to 103,000 points, 103 index 1,000 points there. That was the gain for the year 2024. It started at about 74,773 points. So it's one of the, we've never seen this level before. That's seeing where the all-share index was. The all-time high, that was about 106,000 points. So over 37% gain in 2024. That's like it beats inflation at this point. And we have a couple of stocks in the market that even scaled over 100% profit for 2024. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out for 2025. All right, to the last trading day, which was yesterday, we see the final closing gong of 2024 there. We see the energy in the room was quite pumped, and we had our Willie Bong. She gave us a blow-by-blow of what played out in the market there for that final trading day. And we had regulators bid farewell to 2024. Yet they described as profitable as they all look forward to 2025. Take a listen.
We're closing out on a high note, and we're all very glad about it. But you know, the beauty of it all now is that we have taken charge of our market. SecDG is a broker, a practicing broker, not practicing now, but at least is an operator in the market. Our CEO here, Jude Chemeka, is a renowned stockbroker, an operator in the market. We have commissioners in SEC, now practicing stockbrokers. So if you see, it's like we have our members now taking charge of everywhere. So it's easy for us to analyze government policies, sit with them, discuss, and agree on what should be done.
channels television.
All right, now to our first conversation. We see the Nigerian baking industry has had its challenges in 2024, from rising prices of ingredients for production to higher prices of bread. Well, let's delve into key factors shaping its trajectory in 2025, exploring challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for bakers and consumers alike. And joining us for this conversation, we have Engineer Emmanuel Onwara, the president, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. It's great to have you. Last time I saw you, 2024, not so long ago. And, you know, looking at your industry, you know, in 2024, we've seen, you did share with me some key ingredient price movements. They've just kept going up and up. The likes of flour there, see, from 43,000 naira in January 2024 to 68,000, adding about 25,000 naira to the price. Milk added 35,000 naira. Sugar added 33,000 naira. Yeast added 21,000 naira to its price when you compare that from January to December. So I guess providing our daily bread, producing our daily bread wasn't easy.
Thank you, Ladi, for having me.
Right.
A very wonderful, prosperous 2025 to you.
Yes.
To Nigerians, to all bakers in Nigeria, and especially to my PBAN members. I wish every one of them a happy, joyous, and prosperous 2025.
With a lot of bread. Affordable bread in 2025.
Affordable is relative. Here you go. Ladi, you don't come again. Oh, all said and done, if things are fine, you know, why do you want price increases? Price increases stifle everything you do as businesses. You know, when prices are stable, if you play through at a particular rate, you know, you understand, you can be able to do what? To grow your business. You can be able to plan. You can be able to forecast. Last year was just a wild card for us bakers. How we survived 2024, I don't even know. That was why, like yesterday at church, I was like, wow. You know, happy survival to all Nigerians. It was that bad, especially for us in the baking industry and manufacturers generally. It didn't smile for us at all. It was crazy. You know, and as the president of an association, everything was lying on my shoulders. Sometimes I couldn't even sleep. People were calling me. Businesses were going down. People were being upended here and there. Health were failing and all of it. You know, before you know it, prices kept escalating. Look at it there. Look at it there. Look at the projection. Look at the data. Look at the increasing in the price of flour. About 55-point-something% increase in the price of flour. Okay, and that is the big elephant in the house for us. Sugar, softener, margarine, ascorbic acid, everything we used in baking bread kept going up north. You know, nothing came down south. So it was a miracle that we survived. And well, like you said, let's do a prognosis of 2025 and see where we all will be at the end of the year. I just hope for a better year, for a good year, for a year that Nigerians will see the benefit of governance, you know, that the political class should be able to put on their thinking cap and think for Nigerians. Nigerians are going through a lot. We are very peaceful and resilient people. If not for the resilience of Nigerians, me and you for no sit down here, they talk with you, they talk today. But it's all good. You know, once there is life, there is hope.
There's hope. There's hope. And, you know, looking at those prices there for most of the inputs that we use for production, what can we learn from 2024 to get these prices down? Because when we get the ingredients, the price of production down, then the consumers can have some kind of hope.
Well, I think everything borders on the government, really. The fiscal and monetary policies must be spot on, okay? And the big elephant in the house last year was the FX. For an import-dependent economy, you devalued, and they were telling us, the FG will keep telling us, and the CBN governor, that the Naira is overvalued. What is the fair value of the Naira? Why couldn't the Naira be stable? Why couldn't those that are importing get this thing from the bank? Why must they source from black market? Because people were hedging, all right? The disparity between the black market and official market was crazy. It was about 200 naira, if I'm not mistaken. So what businesses survive on those models? You understand? The irreducible minimal for businesses to thrive in Nigeria is a FX that is that you can plan with. For instance, the premise, the budget, I think on 1,500 naira. All right, let it go around. If it is 1,500 naira, let those that are importing know, so that they be able to plan. They can do their forecast. You understand? The other time, the MD of financial derivatives, at the beginning of last year, he was saying that by 2024 December, that the dollar was going to plateau at 1,200. Did it ever happen? No. For instance, as an SPE member, I need to buy dollar to renew my membership of Society of Petroleum Engineers. I've not been able to do it. I'm waiting. When it will come down, this guy kept going up until he just stopped at 1,750 naira. Businesses died in Nigeria. Look, if I tell you that 40% of my members lost their business, you would not agree with me. Even in my own business, it was topsy-turvy. Our capacity dropped by as much as 70%. You understand? The cost of spares were going up, the cost of materials were going up, and in all of this, the government came with a minimum wage that they expect that you must pay in a business that is not thriving. And look at it, the average Nigerian pocket has been totally wiped out. There is no expendable income. Families that were going on one bread a day before, just a pack, a 70 gram pack size, could no longer buy. So went to maybe 100. All around you, you go across the malls, you see beggars everywhere. Okay. You go to go to restaurants, or just walk around Lagos and parts of the country. Everywhere were beggars, not because they like to beg, but because the situation of the country has forced people into being beggars.
It was quite tight. And talking about the dollar, we did hear from the central bank governor that there's been stability. We've been tracking the dollar since about June, of 2024. There's been, some form of stability. We see the Naira ranging between 1.5, like 1.6. Then we saw some gains. Did that bring any respite at all?
When you say, is it the government own or the reality? The reality on the ground is that, was it that? Go and ask an importer. I don't import, but the sum total of the importation gets to us as bakers, because everything you see there, from the wheat to the sugar that comes from Brazil and everything, almost everything is imported. It's only a few that we manufacture here, maybe ascorbic acid, maybe some softeners, you understand? And even those people that are manufacturing it, the government does not make deliberate effort to support them. Energy is a big problem in Nigeria today. And look, the Nigerians must begin to come to the fact that there must be a conversation around the price of AGO, automotive gasoline oil, that's diesel, okay, and LPG. We use it a lot, okay? The price of PMS, everybody is fixated on PMS as though PMS is the thing. PMS is not it. What drives inflation in Nigeria? What has upended inflation to 34.6% and food inflation to the 39.93% we have today is what? It's diesel. I was into commodity before. I bring in rice from Taraba. I stopped doing it when the price of diesel increased to about 1,007. What I was doing with 500,000 skyrocketed to 3 million for transportation between Jalingo and Lagos. Okay, so, and for us as bakers, that is one big elephant in the house. And for other manufacturers, why are Nigerians manufacturers, why are we not having conversation around diesel? Why is all the conversation around only fuel? Why are we not having conversation around...
We've seen the refineries, even some of the government refineries come online. We've had the Dangote refinery. They've been producing AGO, that's in 2024. And we did see the price of diesel come down.
Marginally.
It came down.
Marginally. Right. It was 1,750. It was 1,000. I mean, sorry. It was 1,750 or so.
I think it did touch
about 1,250 and 1,003, depending on where you are sourcing from.
Right.
But where was it coming from? 200 and something naira. Okay, so we are saying today we have the Dangote refinery, and thank Aliku for all he's done. All right, you cannot discontinue the fact that he's coming and been very bullish and drive down the price of PMS. And he did that much for diesel too, but we want it to come down.
And we see the NNPCL refinery and the Dangote refinery giving Nigerians a present in December.
Yes, no, not Nigeria.
For PMS.
PMS was only for MRS, and that's where I buy my fuel now. And NNPC reciprocated with, I think, $8.99 for their own filling station. How many NNPC stations are across Nigeria? Okay, how many of them are in Oka? How many are in everywhere? They give franchise, but when you get there, it's not the actual thing. Most of it is like audio. You understand? It's make-believe. How many MRS are even in Lagos here? So averagely now, even the fuel is about, I think, 1,040 naira. If you talk about the predominance of other oil marketers. You understand? So there must be conversation around it as bakers, as premium bread makers of Nigeria and other bakers and industries as a whole. Please. Diesel needs to come down because that is what is causing the price of food and every other thing to soar. If they want to bring food from the north down to south, nobody uses fuel. What they use is these trailers, articulated vehicles. That's what they use to bring the cow and everything. So by the time they factor in the cost of diesel, the price goes up. The same thing for LPG. Most industries are running on LPG today, gas today, but the price keeps going up. For my members that are using it, some of us transited from using diesel to burn our oven, the furnace in our oven, to gas. Gas became even more expensive. You understand? So there must be that conversation of an energy mix in Nigeria. We tried solar. Solar did not work. We wanted to do solar in my bakery. They said we should go and look for about 200 million. Where can I get that money?
That means it would have worked if not for the cost.
Yes, it will work. But I went to my banker to help me. Bankers look at the whole thing and bolted. Because they know I'm not into oil and gas. Is it the one you are doing in bread that you come and use to pay them 200 million back? You know, you understand? But when they came, they gave us and my members, and they came and made presentation to us. We wanted to kill, but the cost was killing. So please, these are the enablers that drives business in the country. As we look towards 2025, we hope that these things that we are pointing at, the government will look at them very seriously. So that
and we know there's that saying, you know, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So what kind of innovations did we see, you know, in your industry, even though 2024 was a tough year?
The innovation we saw was that we were able to remain, some of us were able to remain afloat. And without the storm. You know, and the fact that we were able to do it was very miraculous. You understand? I mean, you couldn't say it was maybe because you are the best planner. Yes, we did our planning, we did our sensitivities and all of it, you understand? Because as much as you do all this whole thing, you know, faith must have a place in it. You understand? You do your planning, of course. I believe in work, and then the spiritual comes to it. So the way we even survived it, you can't even believe. And in all of these things, they will pursue you for tax. Local governments are there chasing you across the country. If you want to cross into Anambra State, it's Wahala. If it is here in Lagos, everywhere, Uwoda, to be beating our boys, collecting money, state government and all of it. When you compare, you write to the state government, like in Lagos, here, you write to the Commissioner of Transport that you want to see the man. He's very arrogant. He doesn't even want to give you this thing. Some of them are so arrogant, they forget that they just be there for 4 years and they are there to serve us. So the government too must be very responsive. As much as the federal government is doing their bit, the state and local government must follow pari passu. You understand? So for bakers, it's been very, very tough. I just hope that in the last quarter of this year, the moratorium on wheat and grain import that the president graciously gave Nigerians came into being, you know, and then there was a bit of stability in the price of. That's why you didn't see bread go up again. There was a bit of stability in the price of flour. You understand? There was a bit of stability in the price of commodity. The only thing that kept going up was ururu. You understand? Wheat, yeast, softener, and all of that. If those ones are going up, we don't even care too much about that because the elephant in the house is where you pick a 50 kg bag of flour. You finish it, that means you are doing 100% of it. And it is about 60% of our cost, 55 to 60% of our cost. Sugar is about 12%. Add those two, you are doing about 70-something. So once those two are upended, it affects everything we are doing as an industry. You understand? So I am calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to look at the 6 months he has given, push it again backwards to maybe 2 years, so that Nigerians can at least be able to afford bread, be able to afford other things, grains, like maybe even corn, sorghum, and all of it. I was reading the other day that the government has, I think the sorghum came into Nigeria or something. So please, Mr. President, sir, as bakers, we are appealing to you to extend that moratorium, please, on the VAT and import waivers for wheat, because it has been helpful to us as an industry.
Right. And have we seen anything from the subnationals when it comes to support? Or expectations there?
Well, it's only Lagos State that you can only say supporting. There are Lagos State LSETF, Lagos State Employment Scheme. They are doing their bit. You understand? Post-COVID, they helped us a lot, but they can still do more. You understand me? Now, before they could give up to 5 million, 3 million, I think there's a cap of 1 million on it in it now. Maybe because the government of Lagos, maybe they are overwhelmed too, I don't know, or maybe because they didn't have a DG. Because I was just reading that the State Assembly just passed, they just approved the appointment of a new DG or GM for the LSETF. So maybe with the coming of that lady into office again, it can be better days for bakers in the subnational. Lagos State, you understand me? Ogun State wanted to do something, but when you get to Ogun State, the woman that was there in their own Ogun cares, she was too arrogant. She doesn't want to listen to anybody. You understand?
You seem to notice the arrogance.
Yes, that woman is arrogant. She doesn't even want to listen to anybody. You call her, she will not even pick your call. You understand? Are you there to serve us, or are you there to serve yourself, madam? You know, what else you did a facility?
We'll try and reach out to them.
You don't want to give us a good state. You don't want to give us facility.
I'm sure they're not that arrogant. Maybe they just come across as that. But we'll definitely find out. To see who is arrogant.
Bring her here to come and tell us what.
We'll invite them. We'll invite them over. I'm sure.
But Lagos State have been, at least to the best of their abilities, they are doing their. So of course, what do you expect? Lagos is center of excellence. You understand? So the people follow Lagos in Nigeria. You understand me? But we want them to do more, especially in the area of multiple taxation. People barging into our bakeries, beating up our boys on the road. Too many urchins around the highways and the state roads. You understand? They're beating people.
And all of that driving up
the cost. You understand? Before you know, they will say, this one, they don't catch you 150,000, they don't tow moto. No human face to it. We've partnered with LASTMA in Lagos State, and ATMA in Anambra State and all of that, to see what we can do for our members. Bakers are really, really suffering. So if we must produce this daily bread for Nigerians, we must breathe for us to be able to
because this is the daily bread God has provided. But now it's for production.
It's spiritual.
It's a production issue. Thank you so much. Always great to have your perspective, Engineer Emmanuel Honora, as the President, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for coming on.
Let's keep hope alive.
Compliments of the season. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ladi. Thank you, Nigerians.
All right. Well, let's head to the markets now. Let's see who are the top performers in 2024 and the laggards. We have Aniete Edet with the details. Great to have you, Aniete. Last time I saw you, 2024, and here we are in 2025, and the markets have been quite good. To investors.
Yeah, Ladi, 2024 was a leap year. Let's not forget, 366 days. And, of course, that 366 days, we saw that the market, it was impressive. We had that on our news at 10 yesterday, 37.65% year-to-date gain, which it still ranks it among the top 20. But when you compare that percentage gain on the all-share index of the local burs, it's not compared to what you had back in 2023, December, which was about 45.9%.
Oh, that was a big one.
It was a big one. But when you take a look at this number, at that time, we hadn't even reached, the number hadn't reached about 75. We were barely within the 74,000 level. But when you take a look at that, the market has risen to this astronomical level. At some point, the historical high that I have here is about 106,087.84 index point.
Right.
And at the same time, in terms of the value, what has gained in 2024 is 21.8 trillion naira added to the total value of the Nigerian stock market, which is currently at about some 62.76 trillion naira market.
There was a time 60 trillion looked really, really far away, but here we are.
And then, Ladi, to even add more curry to the flavor, is that that number is expected to rise higher in this new year. Yes, tomorrow will be the start, the official start of the first trading day for the domestic bourse, as well as major markets around the world.
Right.
So it's really a time to celebrate. And then don't forget, we also beat Argentina's stock market sometime in February last year. The Nigerian stock market has been among the top best performers since 2017. It's quite a feat.
Quite a feat. Quite a feat, definitely.
Exactly.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in 2025.
Yeah. Okay, so but now we're not talking about the intraday numbers. We're just going to do a little bit of a review of the previous trading session. Okay, so viewers, this is most of the numbers that you see here were for the New Year's Eve, which was just yesterday, just about some few hours ago, when all the world were preparing to cross over into 2025, which eventually many of the all the countries around the world have crossed into 2025, and then most of them, or all of them, or almost all of them, are in a holiday, which is for the New Year's Day, the first day of January in 2025. So far, Nigerian stock market, where we're having that banter, myself and Ladi, this number, what you saw here was as a result of the last minute profit taking on some high value equities, particularly MTN Nigeria, which pulled the market's index back from 103 plus points, which it had closed as at Monday. But then for the close of Tuesday's trading session, which is just overnight, 102,926.38, so just a tad 0.22%, and about 136 billion drop in the value. But so far, the market is still in the, not in correction territory, but in the very, very positive territory. And the same goes for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which is also not intraday. This is the number for the close of Tuesday's trading session. And it's come all the way from 87,000, which we've seen it climb as high as that level, to about 84,095.13 for the close of Tuesday's trading session. In the green, 0.18% for the close of Tuesday's trading session, like I mentioned. And for the other two markets on the African continent, we also see that it was a kind of a mixed picture there for the Nairobi, for the Nairobi, as well as the Egyptian Stock Exchange. We see the mixed numbers there closing for Tuesday's trading session. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the best performing stock market, the best performing stocks on the domestic bourse, where we see number one on that list is Julie PLC, which had about a 1,646% year-to-date return, which means it started the year with about with a share price of about 15.9 kobo per share, and then it rose to about 10.30 kobo, representing about that's the figure I mentioned there. We could have that on the screen there. 1,646% return on investment. So that means that if you had invested about 10,000 naira in Julie PLC, by the end of the year, you would have gotten about 164,600 naira on that share. And that's actually one of the oldest, if not the oldest, listed company on the Nigerian Exchange Limited, and is still delivering quite an impressive return on investment. Next on that line, we see here is Orlando PLC with more than 550% increase year to date. So this is also attributed to the release of its audited statements for 2022 and 2023. And then at the same time, investors' confidence was also boosted by the company's successful acquisition of ENI NOAC move, which is expected to significantly boost its asset base and income profile. So far, Wando is number 2 on that list. So in this order, we also see a technology-based company, which is a technology and engineering services company, Unicell Interlink, giving a 502% return on your investment for those at the start of the year into the close of the year. This is what it has delivered so far. At the same time, we also see Sunu Assurances. This is from the insurance sector of the market. We see all of these are the sectors which they're categorized under the 5 key sectors of the NGX, where we have the banking, the consumer goods, we have the industrial goods, the insurance as well as the oil and gas sector. Then talking about the oil and gas sector, we've not seen that yet in the top 5 category, but so far for the industrial goods we see Transcore, which is one of the best performers there. 406% return on investment for those who know where to put their money, where their mouth is, and so far this is what it has delivered, and all of this had contributed to what the market turned out for the close of full year 2024. And these are expected to also continue into the new year, which we've just started, and that trading will begin from tomorrow. So our eyes will be out on how the market starts the first trading day of 2025. Okay, so let's move ahead into the Middle East trading, the close of Tuesday's trading session for 2024. Obviously, mostly positive there, starting from the Dubai index as well as the Abu Dhabi, both of them in the green, 0.11% for the Dubai index, 5,158.67, while the Abu Dhabi was up nearly 2%, just a little digit away from 2%, and closed the year at 9,419.00 for that market index on the United Arab Emirates Bourse. So let's move over to the other two on the Middle East there. Saudi Arabia, well, it's actually trading not close. This is the only trading index within the Middle East there. And the last track that we had there was almost about 0.25% increase in the green, 12,066.58 for that market index. And then the Qatari Stock Exchange for the close of Tuesday's trading session was up 0.80% at 10,571.09 for that market index. Okay, so from the Middle East, let's go over to the United States, where also, well, most of the market, this is for the futures, but this is how the numbers were for the close of Tuesday's trading session, where the market is also observing a public holiday there. For the Dow Jones Industrial Average, all these numbers, 42,000. Yes, the Dow Jones, it was able to cross the 40,000 level for the very first time and then also climb above that level. But so far for the S&P 500, it is up 23.31% for the full year of 2024. For the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's up by 12.88%. But the biggest gainer among the three averages, of the major averages of the U.S. market, is the NASDAQ, 28.64%. And this is largely driven by the likes of Nvidia, the likes of Google, the likes of Apple. Many of the tech stocks there, they help to lift this tech-oriented market index of the U.S. market to achieve that feat for the close of Tuesday's trading session for 2024. That's the final day. So look ahead. The market will be counting down to the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump, which had also contributed into the market's rally when he won the election back in November, in the second week of November, when that election was held. And also that has also prompted the cryptocurrencies market it propelled it into a very, 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 very strong performance, more than 160%, while Nvidia has performed more than a 184% year-to-date gain for that market, and also contributed into the increase which you see on the three major averages on the United States market. Now, finally, for the Asian markets, well, for the Asian markets, it's not too good. Well, most of them, they close lower. The Nikkei, which is a Japanese benchmark index of 225 top stocks there, or 225 listed companies there, it wasn't able to hold to cross into the 40,000 level. Just was down by 0.96% for the close of Tuesday's trading session. South Korea has been in the news for not too good reasons, from the impeachments of the two presidents, first the president and the acting president, as well as the plane crash, which has been in the news, where we saw a very fatal accident there. But at the same time, we also see that the inflation numbers for the month of October was up 1.9%. That's for December, which is higher than the 1.5% which was recorded in November. But for the close of the last trading day, it was down by 0.22%. For the Hang Seng Index, it was able to notch a little bit of gain there, 0.09% at 20,059.95. And speaking of China, we saw that the country's Purchasing Managers Index, which is the PMI, which it gauges the manufacturing sector's growth, it came out a disappointing 50.1%, which is also saying that the Beijing's stimulus measures, which was announced sometime last month, was not sufficient enough to boost the country's ailing economy. Let's not forget that China is the world's second largest economy and was projected to overtake the United States come in 2025. That projection was made almost about a decade ago, but we'll get to see. This is the start of 2025, so we'll get to see whether that forecast would come into fruition or not. For the India's Nifty 50, it was down for the close of Tuesday's trading session, down 0.41% at 23,742.90. So that's a wrap for the markets, and then tomorrow we will be looking at how all of these markets, which are closed for 2024 into the new year. Tomorrow will be the first trading day for major markets, and of course we'll be looking at Ladi. I don't know whether your crystal ball, because I have my crystal ball,
right?
And I think it's more of optimism.
Right,
cautious optimism.
Yeah, and it's been quite a year, 2024 for most of these indexes. Most of them seeing new highs. We've seen the likes of commodities like gold shining, in 2024. Bitcoin hitting new highs. So I guess some investors did really well in 2024. Be interesting to see how it plays out in 2025.
And I think it was a Trump magic that put the polish on both gold as well as your market,
and Bitcoin.
crypto. Yeah,
quite interesting. Let's see how he plays out for 2025. Thank you so much, Nate, today for telling us the best performers and the laggers in 2024. All right, let's take it on to Europe now. See, the fireworks are out. It's time to sweep out the raiment of last night's party, and it's time to look ahead for the markets around the world. They've had a pretty strong year in 2024. Question is, what will 2025 bring? Let's talk to Lars Halter now with DW. Great to have you, Lars. Happy New Year. What can you tell us about the outlook in Germany?
Thanks for having me, and a happy new year to you as well. Now, what will the new year bring? It's not often that we're expecting so many radical changes in the world as we are right now, and they will all have their influence on the world economy and on markets too. I guess nothing right now is quite as important as the change of guards in Washington. In just about 3 weeks, we'll have a new Trump administration in place, and the past few weeks, ever since Trump has been elected, have already shown that his presidency will be tremendous for his billionaire friends, definitely for some companies, for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Things might not be going so well for regular people, of course, but let's skip the US and have a closer look at Germany and Europe. We will have snap elections here in less than 2 months' time. That's after the three-party coalition government fell apart late last year.
And what do investors expect from a new government once it's in office in Germany?
Radical changes. They really expect radical changes. There's been talk of a Wirtschaftswende recently, experts asking for an economic 180, with the government coming up with a plan fast on how to help its struggling companies. Those include the car companies that have lost market share to Chinese competitors, but that also includes the industrial sector in general, the chemical industry, and others that use a lot of energy. Their problem, energy prices are still way too high in Germany, and many companies fear they can no longer compete on a global level. So will a new government subsidize energy prices much more, or will they find a way to strengthen the country's energy infrastructure long term? Fact is, Germany is currently not just in rough waters, but as many say, in a structural crisis that needs to be taken care of, and that is obviously a major task.
All right, what else are investors focusing on in their 2025 outlook?
Interest rates are another big topic, I'd say. The European Central Bank has hiked up rates last year, and now there's expectations for interest rates to be cut again, possibly as early as spring. Now, that would likely bring upon growth, but Eurozone inflation is still a bit high. Now, about a year ago, it was measured at over 9%. Now it stands at around 2.4%. That is much better, and it's in fact just a tad higher than the ECB's declared goal of 2%, but it's still higher. So that makes it really hard to argue for cutting rates. As for growth, most experts expect Germany's GDP to rise between 0.2 and 0.7% during this new year 2025. But that kind of brings us back to the US. Much of how things will go here will depend on the geopolitical context, will depend on trade, and especially those trade issues could be tricky to navigate with President Trump in the White House. So most people I have spoken to are actually optimistic for Germany's economy in the new year, but it's absolutely clear still that we are looking at major challenges.
All right, thank you so much, Lars Holte, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right, now let's move on to other matters now, and I'm going to be getting into the next conversation. We'll get an outlook for foreign investor sentiment for the Nigerian economy. Also get an outlook for the Naira, because everyone's trying to know where the Naira is going to go in 2025. Joining us for this conversation, we have Taka. He's an investment manager, TLG Capital. Great to have you on the show. Happy New Year.
Hi, Larry. Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So, yeah, 2024 has been quite interesting. We've seen, most industries, we've seen them hammered, by the weight of, rising prices, rising inputs. But we've seen investors really do well with, a couple of indexes, commodities rising. But back here, the Naira didn't have the best year in 2024. Talk to me about word on the street, the investment streets out there. That's for foreign investors. How are you seeing Nigeria? How are you seeing the Naira?
Thanks. So look, I think obviously 2024 was a super tough year. In many ways, I would say versus where we are this year is considerably different in many ways, right? You've got regime change, you've had change up in Abuja with the SEC, the central bank. You've got a really ambitious new budget that was published a week or two ago. That's got a huge amount of spending in a country where the tax base is quite narrow. We have seen, I think, a lot of really interesting investment opportunities. You've seen large corporates leave, and people like to make news stories of that. But the truth is, if someone's leaving, then someone's buying, right? So Toleran bought Guinness, someone else bought Old Mutual, someone else bought Champion. There are acquirers of these multinational companies, the farmers, the beverages, the insurers that are leaving, that see opportunity. And so I think, at the end of the day, inflation is the main problem. As high as you make MPR, if the issue is based on importation, which I think your previous guest discussed from a bakery or a wheat perspective, you've got those supply side issues. Inflation will be the determinant of, I think, where the currency will end up in the medium term. But was there some correction in the Naira in December? Yes. There was more supply because the central bank unwound some swaps, etc. So I think you could see some near-term appreciation, which is where the speculators and the carry traders and the people buying the OMOs do quite well. But in the medium term, I think a lot of the issues are a bit more supply side, and you may expect to see that sort of transmit through the currency. But we remain really optimistic and certainly overweight Nigeria.
Right, and looking at FPI, it came in quite hot in 2024. Do you see that playing out in 2025?
Yeah, for sure. I think the big news for us that we saw in the last quarter of 2024 was actually what was happening in the oil and gas and energy space. There'd been a number of these disposals or divestitures. They'd been stuck with either the regulator or someone who had to approve, or with the ministry. You've seen now, Seplat, Shell, Renaissance, a lot of these approvals have been granted. That can only be positive for production from a barrels perspective. And I think what was even more encouraging was seeing Shell and some of these other sort of, large energy companies take final investment decision. So seeing FID come through brings in dollars. It helps energy, it helps stability and security. And I'm generally quite positive about FDI in general. I mean, you've seen the news of, Brazilian meat packers wanting to open in northern Nigeria. And the truth is, when you're bringing in capex, this is typically in dollars. It's typically with a view to get a payback within a medium to long-term horizon. And so to the extent to which people are confident allocating capital into Nigeria, that can only be a good thing, I think, for the economy. And we are seeing some of that. Although I would, still mention that the inflation and currency issues are probably likely to persist in the medium term, at least.
All right, looking at it from an investment perspective now, in 2025, what do you think should be that investment, that asset class that I think is going to get all the shine, in 2025?
So I think, one that I'm really interested to watch in this coming year are the banks, right? So last year we had this sort of, big circularization from the central bank governor saying that you have to raise all of this equity, choose whether you want to be a national or regional or a local bank. And some of these banks have come up with the equity. I think there'll be a bit of a cat and mouse game, right, where the banks will say that they've raised and the central bank will have to earn their stripes and look into what they've done or not done. But I think it will be really interesting to see how the banking landscape evolves in 2025, because historically Nigeria's had a lot of regional banks. You've had Wema, that's historically the Bank of the South and Southwest. Fidelity, which is associated with the bank of, more of an Igbo bank. You've had the non-interest banks, which have, had a little bit more luck in the north. But if you're coming up with all of this equity and you're consistent, you're basically saying to your existing and your new investors that you're going to be a national or international bank, it's up to you to now go and earn that and prove that. And I think there's a lot of, stress in the system from a corporate perspective. You've had central bank increasing rates and also making the cash reserve ratio incredibly high, restricting what banks can do with their funds. And so the question will now become, once these banks are bigger, they're more capitalized, they're able to allocate their capital, how are they going to do this, and how is that going to transmit into the economy? Because as we all know, the banks are the lifeblood of any economy. They take our deposits, they lend to our businesses, and they also lend to our government. So I think that's a sector I'm particularly interested to see how it will fare in the coming year. And we're working very closely with them.
All right, we'll definitely keep watching. Thank you so much. It was great having your perspective today. That was Taka, Investment Manager, TLG Capital. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year. Thanks,
Laddie. Happy New Year. Appreciate it.
All right, let's get to some stories now. See, Kenya's domestic debt, that ballooned by a significant 689.1 billion Kenyan shillings in the past year, raising concerns about the country's fiscal health. The sharp increase from about 4.5 trillion Kenyan shillings in September 2023 to 6.06 trillion in September 2024. That highlights growing reliance on domestic borrowing to finance government spending, while the full picture requires further analysis at this time. Understanding the factors behind the surge in the domestic debt is crucial. One potential explanation could be high interest rates, and that's according to analysts and experts on the matter. All right, let's get a check of what to expect now in the crypto market. We have Chimezie Chuta as the chairman, National Blockchain Policy Steering Committee. Great to have you, Chimezie. Happy New Year.
Yeah, good to have you there, Laddie. It's always a pleasure to join you on this your program.
Right, last time I saw you was in 2024, I guess not so long ago. But Chimezie, what are you expecting for the crypto industry in Nigeria in 2025?
Yes, the 2024 crypto industry in Nigeria was really quite interesting, with a whole lot of efforts and attention focused on the airdrops and all the Telegram tap kind of games that was, characterizing of the entire landscape. So we expect that in 2024, in 2025, we're going to be seeing more active roles that startup projects and teams will do. So we're expecting people to be able to build real life world projects, things that really add value. And we're also expecting that the much anticipated alt season will also keep up, which is where most Nigerians actually are heavily invested in. It's not a lot of Nigerians that are holding Bitcoin, but a lot of people have a lot of portfolio tied to the altcoin, and the alt season is highly expectant generally in the Nigerian crypto market.
Right, and it seems 2025 is also some kind of crypto-friendly stance when it comes to regulation. We see a crypto-friendly president in the U.S., President-elect Donald Trump. Right here in Nigeria, we hear the SEC Director General is also crypto-friendly at this point. So what are you seeing? Is it going to be a smooth sailing for regulation in 2025?
My honest opinion is that there's a lot of positives that we can take from what is going on now, because the current administration is blockchain friendly, because it's expressly expressed that they were going to leverage blockchain technology for as one of the tools to achieve its initiatives, especially the initiative of the federal government. Okay, so of course, that's why there's a lot of interest in the national blockchain policy implementation, because it's expected that if government is going to rely on it to fulfill its renewed hope agenda, then it will definitely accelerate its implementation. But then you also look at the international scene, where a very crypto-friendly President Trump is coming in on the 20th of January. It's just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks from today. And everyone knows that once Trump enters that position, a lot of things are going to change, because the numero uno threat to crypto, who is Gary Gensler, will be leaving. In fact, he has already tendered his resignation. So once he leaves there, I believe that the space will be very clear for a more crypto-friendly SEC regulator to be able to take over that office. Then when you come back to Nigeria here, and you see how the current SEC chairman, the Nigeria Securities Exchange chairman, is handling licensing regimes and providing the regulatory environment for organizations that want to offer crypto assets to be able to onboard it quickly as that. You see that there's a lot of positive also to look at.
All right, Chima, definitely. Yeah, so much to unpack there. I lost you for a moment there. I think the internet there fluctuating, but thank you so much. I guess at this point it's a wait and see, about 2025, and we're here now. And we'll just watch it unpack. Thank you so much, Chimezie Chuta, Chairman, National Blockchain Policy Steering Committee. Thank you. And Happy New Year. All right, so that's the show today. Thank you so much. That's the first one for 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing 2024 with us. And we expect that you share 2025 with us so that you can get the best when it comes to your investments in 2025. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.